Hi everybody, this is Darius, and I want to show you something I haven't really seen demonstrated on YouTube at least to this point, and it's how to import a reference track into your Studio One session and then make a click track for that reference track, especially when there's some difficulties involved. Occasionally you just can't do it using the automated system. For example, I had tremendous difficulty trying to get Breath of Heaven by Amy Grant done. I had to wind up doing that one manually, but there's a lot of time signature changes and things in that. But what I'm going to demonstrate for you today is the song Oceans by Hillsong, and it's got some difficulties really only at the beginning of the song because there's a long pad section there. So I'm going to show you how I do this, and hopefully it'll be helpful to you. So let's switch over and take a look at Studio One. Now I've dragged my track in here. I've got in my template I have something called the original track, and that's where I'll take my full-blown original. Usually I like to start them on the one, but this song does not start on the one, and it's difficult to find exactly where it does start. You can see farther down the line here that there's a big notch there where the transients go up, and that's what I'm going to use. It's going to be online on measure 6. You can use the tab bar, and this works on a lot of songs. Just tab through and it will find what it thinks is the next transient, and hopefully you can find your first downbeat on that. So here I'm just going to do that right there. I'm going to then split this at the cursor because I don't need that stuff to the left right now. I'm just going to delete that temporarily. And I want to align this, so I want to make sure I've got my snap to grid on. I'm going to put this on 6, and then I'm going to just do on the PC, which is what I use because I hate Mac, but Command Mac on the Mac will work. Control L works on this one. So Command and Control are usually the alternate commands for Macs and PCs. So Control L, and that aligns it now to that point right there. At this point, I would want to, well, I've already done this. For example, you want to, I've seen this at 64 and 66. I went with 66 tempo. So it's helpful to get it aligned, at least, or to get the tempo set to something close to what you think the song's going to be. And over here in the inspector pane, it is good to have this tempo set to do not follow, because if you have it on time stretch, it's going to cause you some problems along the way. I know from experience. Now this song has all these pads in it up to this point, and I've discovered through trial and error that it's best to leave it chopped right here while I do the next process, which is to detect the tempo. And if you can see this, go to the audio menu up here and then go down and hit detect tempo, and it will detect the tempo for you. Now it's not put it into the tempo track. The tempo track, if you don't know, is under the so-called hamburger menu, as I call it, and you just turn it on and off it's the bottom item there. So you see I've got mine turned on, and that's what this line is here. So at this point I'm ready to extract my tempo, so I will go in now and go back to the audio, or if you want to set up a macro you can, and I will do extract to tempo track. And you see that it's put these numbers up there, these little white dots. And you can see that it's detected that the tempo is not exactly straight in some of these places. And for this song, that's true. At this point now, I can stretch out my events again, like that. And there we have it. Now, I'm not going to play the song because of copyright strike issues. You know, we don't want to get that. So, but I will just show you that it clicks right along, and where you would expect a downbeat to be, it's there. And this is very good for this song. You can play it just like it is. I've played through it. It works just fine. If, however, you needed to adjust something, I'll show you quickly how to do that. If you needed to, better align a point, and we'll just take this one. I'll just make this one a fictional one. Just put your mouse pointer over the line. You'll see the little finger. Then hold down Control and your left mouse key and drag it. And as you drag it, it will then move that particular point that you dragged it over to the 1 beat. Now that's clearly wrong on this, so I'm going to undo it. But that's how you do it. You can drag it left or right. And it's a very, very handy thing to do. So you'll go through the song, you'll listen, you'll make sure that there's nothing really standing out that bugs you. And once you're done with it, you can go over here and you can see, again in the inspector pane, the word map, and it's in red. So this is the tempo map for this song, and you can just take and you can approve that tempo if you want to. If you don't, you don't have to necessarily. But it's helpful later on. So that becomes embedded now into this song, and you'll be able to actually, you could take all of those white dots out and set it to a straight 66 and straighten the whole thing out so that there's not any of these little variations that you see in there. There's no reason to do that. The whole point here is to make the song, make the track from the song. So that's what we've done. Now, at this point, if you are like me, you will want to actually break this down into its constituent parts, at least 4 of them here. I've got a little macro I've set up for that. But it's also just the Control U command on Control or Command U. It's already got a macro for it. And I'm extracting the 4 parts: vocals, bass, drums, and other instruments. So this may take a minute or two, it's depending on how long your song is. And what will happen now is it will mute this particular track, but it will produce those other tracks down below. And you can actually go through, if you still find you need to make some corrections to where your drums hit or something, you can use the drum line or the bass line to do that, and it will allow you to still make further corrections if you need to. But you'll probably find out it's pretty good at this point. So it does take some time, and I'm going to let it process so that you can see how it goes. And depending upon the power of your computer and so forth, it may take less time for you than it does me. I'm going to pause the video right here while we wait for this to finish. And there you have the finished project. You can see that it's extracted the parts out. You can see how far it is before the drums and the bass come in to be meaningful to the song. So you really have to get the beat out of the other part in this case. So that's the way I typically approach it. You could do it differently. You could extract the files and you could try the other file to begin with. I would only do that if you're having difficulty. If you've got a good strong bass track in your song, or a good strong drum track from the beginning, you could use those. Might give you a little tighter fit. But this is the basic process, and I hope it's helpful for you. Take care. God bless.